Good evening, everyone. I feel privileged to extend my warm welcome to all gathered here for our annual Spiritual Ecology lecture, and it is one of the highlight programs of Tibet House. So I would like to welcome our speaker, Dr. Pramod Pathak ji, and Dr. Kaveri Deity, who will be chairing this session today on the dais. And I would like to introduce our chairperson. Dr. Kaveri Gilji is an associate professor of Shiv Nadar University, Greater Noida, teaching the political economy of development. She completed her second BA, MPhil and PhD, as well as a postdoctoral fellowship from University of Cambridge, United Kingdom. Since moving back to India to live in India in 2007, she has worked in a range of spheres, including with Planning Commission, Government of India, UNICEF, the International Development Research Centre, and Oxford Policy Management, before moving back to academia in January 2017. Dr. Kaveri has published widely, including a monograph of Oxford University Press. Her research interests include poverty and the informal sector, urban waste, water and sanitation issues, and public policy in various social sectors, especially in public health. She is also enrolled for the 6-year Nalanda Master's course in Buddhist philosophy at Tibet House, New Delhi. Yeah, please proceed.
Thank you. Thank you very much, Dolmana. So it's a great pleasure to have with us Dr. Pramod Pathak ji, who's done his master's degree in MTech from IIT Bombay in 1974, and thereafter he has a PhD in Vedic literature on interpretation of the Vedic myths from Mumbai University. He worked with appropriate technology at IIT Bombay to develop technology for the adoption in rural areas and developed and implemented environmental friendly projects. He also went for training in solid waste management at the Illinois State University, USA. For more than 2 decades, he's worked in the chemical industry in production and research and development in various capacities as project manager, general manager, etc. And he was just telling me that he lived for many years in Goa. He's just moved to Nasik, and while there, he was head of the Plastic Free Goa Mission, affiliated with the Education Department, Panaji, Goa. And he's also a visiting professor at the University of Houston, USA. And today he's going to be speaking to us about spiritual ecology icons. So please welcome. So I think if you speak for about 50 minutes, then we have Q&A.
Okay. Yes. Big screen. Yeah, it's on the screen.
Good evening, everybody. It's my pleasure to be here in the August and very enlightened audience. It's my pleasure to be here in very enlightened audience, and I can see people from different disciplines have gathered here on this occasion. I will be very grateful, and I'm really grateful to the Tibet House authorities who have given me this opportunity to express my views on the spiritual ecology icons. The lecture, the topic is spiritual ecology, on which they every year organize the lectures. Now this year, I thought that let us talk about icons who can be looked as spiritual ecology icons. I wish to express my sincere thanks to the director, Geshe Dorji Damdul. He has sent me invitation, of course, after all the considerations. I am sincerely thankful to Tenzing Doma, a young girl who has been coordinating all the efforts of bringing me here and trying to keep me in tune with all the things here. Then let me also mention my young friend Siddhit Tamba from Goa, as Madam mentioned. Siddhit is my very good friend. He is also associated with one or two institutions in Lahore Spiti. All the way he goes from Goa to Lahore Spiti and works for solar and energy development, alternative energy development. And this is where we met. I was also heading the Goa Energy Development Agency till 17 February, where we promoted a lot of things in Goa on solar energy, wind energy and all that. So there I came in contact, and he has been the link between me and Tibet House. So I am also mentioning his name as my young friend who was responsible for bringing me here. And I express my deep gratitude towards His Highness, His Holiness Dalai Lama Ji, whose book, His Holiness Dalai Lama, 14th Dalai Lama on Environment, Collected Statements 1987 to 2017, constitutes the basic of thoughts I am going to express here. As you will find, I will be quoting quite frequently from this book, which sort of has guided me to look into the ecological icons matter. We all know we are facing the El Nino problem. It is a global problem. And to give you a latest update, this yesterday only, it had come, day before yesterday, Hindustan Times has given few problems that India is facing. How climate change affected India. 431 major natural disasters during 1980 to 2010. 30 years, 431, at least 15 calamities. These are disasters happening every year in India, averaging. Maybe they have shared this thing. Floods in Kerala, Uttarakhand and Jammu Kashmir. Increasing trends in the frequency of dry days for 1901 to 2010. That means in 110 years of this thing, our dry days have increased. Annual mean temperature has risen and rate of sea level is rising. So this is to be pursued at a global level, and earlier this air pollution, water pollution, these were sort of separately considered items. Oh, there is air pollution, there is water pollution, there is a particulate pollution. There the species are dispersing, they are going to disappear. And now we see it as a global problem rather than seeing it as a discrete problem. Now, where did it start? As His Holiness points out, peace and survival of life on the earth as we know it are threatened by human activities, which lack commitment to the humanitarian values. This is the most important thing. Destruction of nature, natural resources results from ignorance, greed, and lack of respect for Earth's living beings. Now this is where it started. Because there are technologies are available for controlling. For example, the pollution control plants are fairly equipped to deal with very drastically polluted water. I am a chemical engineer. I know I have developed some of these technologies, but they are implemented in a haphazard manner and half-heartedly. That is the problem. Now, let me not make it into a political problem, but looking at the Ganga pollution, there are three things which are polluting Ganga like anything. First thing is organic matter offered out of respect and like flowers, milk, edibles, which contribute to BOD. Untreated sewage, which is just let into Ganga stream, and untreated water from the chemical and dyeing plants. Recently, there was a news that for the Kumbh, they have stopped some of the tanneries and chemical plants. Now they have been given for reinstalling these things in Hooghly in Bengal. So, some sort of relief for the patch which was earlier polluted from, say, Varanasi to Hooghly. Now, whether it is good or bad, that's a different matter. But basically what we are doing is, we are trying to prevent, take corrective measures. And there is one more aspect which has been lacking on the part of all of us. Devotees as well as the people producing, letting the sewage into it and chemically untreated water. If we consider Ganga as our divine mother, aren't we being disrespectful to the mother Ganges, Ganga? Same is true for all other rivers. There are hardly any rivers left in India which are not polluted. Intensity of pollution may differ depending upon what sort of pollutants are entering into it. But this particular aspect, that we are being disrespectful to the very entities who we regarded as our mothers. The rivers are our mothers. Now, what are the corrective actions? For example, the devotees who throng there in millions, always they offer flowers, milk and whatnot. Now, can we not do one thing? That all these offerings is part of offering into the river. Can we put them outside? ऐसा है, अर्घ्य देना है, आप बाहर जाके भी दे सकते हैं, उसमें ही देने की जरूर नहीं है. In Nasik we have, for example, a very good example set. Nasik celebrates Ganpati festival to a great extent. Very large participation is there. But these days, Nasik Municipal Corporation keeps the flower and offerings collectors at several places. And there is considerable reduction in flowers and edibles being thrown into the river during the Ganesh festival. Similarly, Ganesh idols earlier were drawn into river stream. But many places, for example, Pune, we have several tanks which are kept close to the river bed, river stream. Some people come, they take one pot full of water, offer it, put it on the idol, saying that yes, it is like simulating, in today's language, simulating immersion. But then that idol is immersed in a small pond, and that water is easily treatable. I mean, the problem remains solvable by putting it in the tank rather than into the stream. So, if we change our thinking, that will amount to being ecologically conscious about spirituality. So can we not think of these things at other places? Another big problem that is affecting on the global scale as well as in the local scale is urbanization. Cutting of trees, denuding of forests, human encroachment on forest land. You know, in the locality where I stay in Nasik, just about 10 days ago, one wild animal had come inside, and then there was a ho halla. Why at all it had to come? Because about 10 kilometers from there, there is a thick forest on the Godavari river, where there is a dam and animals used to come there. Now that space has been encroached, so they are coming inside. If we are encroaching their land, they will also encroach our lands and our habitats. So, this is the problem, urbanization. And I was surprised in the Jataka stories where Bodhisattva incarnations of Lord Gautam Buddha are mentioned. There is a story of Vartaka Jataka where Bodhisattva as a 12 came to Varanasi. And what he found, there was nothing for him to survive because there were no trees. Even in those days, when the Jataka stories were formulated or conceived and this thing, Varanasi was a place where birds could not survive. Of course, the story indicates that the bhikkhus accustomed to the city life are reluctant to go into the forest for meditation and all that. But the fact remains that Varanasi was a denuded place where birds could not survive in the ancient times. So urbanization was intense then, it is more intense now. Now, what can we think of? I have to offer two alternatives before the audience here. In India, we have a system called sacred groves. They are called Deva Rai. Deva means God and Rai means crow. And recently, I mean, it is as latest as 2018. I have two papers which I have referred in my thing. Anjana Bhagyanathan, 2018, Terrain Attributes of Sacred Grove Locations Point Towards Spatial Delineation. That is a wonderful paper. Second paper is Puma Jana, Surface Water Quality in Sacred Groves of Gadwal. One is in the Kerala, another paper is from Gadwal. So all over India, there is a system of sacred groves, the Devrais, which are, sorry, myself, I have committed a mistake. I have not stopped my... I'm sorry, I should have done it earlier, but forgot. From Kerala to Gadwal, there was a survey made, and there are about 13,720 which have been identified, locations have been identified as Devrais. Not a small number. And they have been boon for the local ecology. The scientific study was done and certain empirical observations were made. How the Devra is located, it is on the sloping land, and then there is a source below, etc. etc. I mean, these two papers are very wonderful. I would like to point out to the audience here that these Devrais have certain empirical basis which can be scientifically studied, and then that can be implemented. As of today, lot of advertisements we see, the enclaves and big construction projects. No, they are mentioning there will be a tank, park, clubhouses, swimming pools. But one very important aspect is missing. With thousands of people coming into the place, will they not have some striving for the spiritual pursuits? And there is no realization that there could be people who would like to do some meditation, would like to do some yoga exercise. And in that case, we can make a provision for putting aside certain land which will be treated as Devrai, like sacred grove. And the preference will be given for planting the shady, fruit-bearing and long-lasting local tree species. Not necessarily we bring it from outside, but we have to identify that. There will be do's and don'ts for this. I will mention don'ts. No cutting or pruning of plants. No access to the vehicles inside. There is not necessary that there will be a religious shrine, because everybody will claim that my shrine should be there. In fact, this is what happened in the sacred grove in Goa. I will not mention the place, but I know. There was a small temple and lot of trees and nascent sort of grove for ages or centuries together. Now suddenly some people thought, no, we must make a bigger shrine for the deity. The bigger shrine has come with cemented flooring and all. Devara is gone. And there could be now complications. Why only this god? There could be another god. So, it is not necessary that it should be a religious shrine. We come here to meditate. And no loudspeaker or mass entertainment within say 100 meters. Of course, this could be checked. And no encroachment under public pressure. I had a privilege of being approached by Advocate Barrister Batraji, who said that, have you given legal aspect to this consideration? I said, I am not into it. But this legal aspect will come into picture when there will be some rules will be laid. And I had talked to one retired IAS officer from Maharashtra, and she elaborated on how the Urban Selling Act was made to undergo changes in order to suit the politicians. And it's a very wonderful study. If this thing is to be revised, I would like to add these instances. So, no encroachment under the public pressure. The public pressure should be there, should be backed by legal formalities, that once a land is allocated for Devrai, there will be no more changes. It will remain as a nascent, growing forest or grove land. People can take walk there, people can meditate, they can perform yoga, perform exercises which need no external aid. The moment you add external aid, the buildings come up. One of the very good examples is from Mumbai, Dadar Shivaji Park. Earlier, park was clean. Now suddenly somebody thought we should have a gym. Who says no to gym? But this structure has come. If one structure has come, another structure has come. And now we find that park shrinking from all the sides. So, no shrines, no exercises. This is what I gather from my experience. And in due course, they will acquire sanctity. There will be serenity and become peaceful breathing spots for the people around. So the Devrais will serve the function both ways, that for the human beings as well as for the ecology. And I wish that in the 21st century, the Devrais all over the country, being need of the day, they will have to become spiritual ecology icons of the 21st century. There is another aspect. So, this is the first premise I would like to put before you, that we must strive for creating Devrais, sacred groves like things all over the country, and wherever the big projects are there, 1,000 blocks, 10,000 blocks, why not allocate certain areas where this thing can be done? So it should be part of our legal town planning and all other measures included. Strategy for developing the urban areas. Afforestation, for example, there has been emphasis on monoculture. कहाँ पे भी जाओ कैशूरी तो कैशूरी नहीं है, single mono species. What happens because of the monospecies? Now we are realizing that monospecies, monoculture development has adverse effect on the environment. Some of the trees which are going tall, they deplete the underground water, so the table goes down. Certain species are there where the leaves are not easily biodegradable or decomposable, so they spoil the underground flora and fauna. So these are the lacunas, and therefore we need to break from the monoculture trend. Now, how can we break? There should be some logic, there should be some strategy or thinking, and there where I propose that we must have 15Feb or Vriksha Panchayatan. What is Vriksha Panchayatan? The concept of 15Feb needs to be promoted for planting multiple species. And while selecting these species, we must have certain aspects in selecting this. With long life, compatible with the local ecology, pest resistant. आपने इमली के झाड़ को कभी देखा है? ये हुआ some attack? Very rare. No, they are pest resistant. And इमली का झाड़ इमली का झाड़ बढ़िया है. हम सब लोगों को बचपन की यादें आती है, मेरे मुंह में पानी आ गया. तो कहने की मतलब बात यह है कि this will be pest resistant, this will be fruit bearing. One of the problems is because there are no fruits on the monoculture trees, our bird population is dwindling, and then pests are increasing. So we are using more pesticides. So in turn, it has been a bane rather than boon to go for monoculture. And I would like to quote here again His Holiness Dalai Lama. He went to Kal Chakra ceremony which was recently performed about 2 to 3 years ago. And what he did, he kept these seeds of the traditional trees in that mandala, as he describes. I bought these seeds of fruit-bearing trees with a part of my Nobel Prize money to be distributed now to people representing different regions, because there were people who had come from all over the world. During this Kal Chakra gathering, these seeds have been kept near Kal Chakra mandala for the purification and blessings. What a wonderful thing. Since these include the seeds of apricot, walnut, papaya, guava, etc., suitable for planting under varying geographical conditions. Experts in the respective places should be consulted on their planting and care. Thus, you all should see my sincere aspiration is fulfilled. Herein lies the concept of Vriksha Panchayatan, and in full consonance of the aspirations of His Holiness. Now, what could be the rationale behind selecting these trees? The numerical distribution of different species should be based on life duration parity. For example, on an average, the banyan tree has a life of 200 years. Of course, they go to 400 and so many average. And the people tree, if it is considered as 100, then for every banyan tree, let us plant 2 people trees. Maybe 3 tamarind trees, whatever it is. So what happens? There is a life parity. And this can be then replenished after they are plant the trees which are considered to be the sacred trees. I'll give you my own personal example. I was in Pen. There is this town in Raigad district. As my wife was going, she saw that a banyan tree is being cut. She got disturbed. She immediately called me and went to people saying, "Dada, ये क्या कर रहे हैं आप? इसको काटेंगे तो आपको अच्छा नहीं होगा. ये पाप है." Which is really, in the environmental sense, cutting a banyan tree like full-grown banyan tree should be considered as a sin. I also went. We made little halla bulla. We called the person who was contractor. And they said, "अरे भाई ये क्यों ये करते हो? पाप कर रहे हो आप?" These people shrugged. And even the person who had appointed that contractor to cut and make money or maybe. He also was, oh no, we should not cut. And to my great and pleasant surprise, just 15 days ago when I went to paint, the tree is standing full. Spiritually accepted trees, if they are planted, I think we can revive our genuine spirituality by renewing these concepts. And if sacred trees, that is Vriksha Panchayatan combined with Devrai can really help us to spiritualize our ecological icons. And again, when I was studying the Buddhist literature and panels, etc., I found that this is not new. हमारे पुरखा करते थे. अब जैसा ये पैनल है, in this panel, there is a miracle of Kashyapa being saved by Lord Buddha. And Buddha was in floods. Kashyapa and his disciples went to see that Lord Buddha, but he was there, etc. I mean, the story is there. But what I marked is, there are 6 different types of trees in this. So it is not a monoculture. There is a multiculture, which was acceptable even in those times. Or there is a panel from Borobudur. Look, India here and Borobudur in Java. The concept of multiple planting of sacred trees was prevalent even in those times. So, Vriksha Panchayatan is to be revived, I will say. Now, why do we want to continue with this revival and maintaining of the sacred feeling towards trees and all? There is a reason. I have considered 3 major religions, or 3 religions, because there are many religions in the Oriental countries. I will consider Hindu, Buddha and Jain. And what is common for them is that we all believe in reincarnation. If we don't reach the stage of Arhata, Moksha, Nirvana, whatever it is, we are going to be reborn. And when we come back, how should be the globe here? And there where, again, His Holiness enlightens us. Our belief in reincarnation is one example of our concern for the future. हमको ही आना है तो ज़्यादा अच्छे रहेंगे ना. If you think that you will be reborn, you are likely to say to yourself, I have to preserve such and such because my future reincarnation will be able to continue with these things. ये जितना pleasant है, कम से कम उतना तो रहना चाहिए. So, even though there is a chance that you may be reborn as a creature, because Lord Buddha in his earlier Bodhisattva incarnations was born in various this thing. He was born as a bird, he was born as a creature, he was born as a everything. So not only that he will be born, और अपने यहाँ पे ऐसा होता है जब कुंडली होती है उसमें हमारा योनि दिया होता है और वो योनि जो है वो नर योनि होती है पशु योनि. I mean these yonis belong to even pashus, that is the animal yonis. Have you reborn from that only, or you are going to back that to a yoni? Whatever it is. So, we must care for the environment to be habitable when we come back. Even though there is a chance that you may be reborn as a creature, perhaps even on a different planet. Right? His Holiness is talking, I mean his perceptions could be far wider than us. But if we come back to this planet only, the idea of reincarnation gives you reason to have a direct concern about this planet and the future generation, of course. We always talk of future generations. We have to preserve this. Now, do we have a tradition of ecology? Very much. That will reinforce our determination to continue with the tradition. Vedas mention several plants. In fact, there is one mandala, mandal 9, which is attributed to the Soma plant. Now, Soma is considered to be deity, although it was like an elixir of life. There are several plants in Vedas, especially Atharvaveda. There are several species of animals as well as plants. which are there mentioned in Atharvaveda as deities. For example, very famous, this Pashupati seal. Now, when I was studying just one thing little outside. When I was studying Atharvaveda for my PhD thesis, I came across one hymn called Pashupati hymn. And when I read that, I found that Pashupati hymn is pictorially depicted on the Indus. This is a different topic, but I would like to mention it. And that points to the symbiotic living. There are fierce animals, as they call it, the Aranyaha Pashuvaha in that, and there are Gramyaha Pashuvaha like this bull. So they were all coming together, and there was a symbiotic living in those times. Ye Aranyaha Pashuvaha, ye Gramyaha Pashuvaha, etc., etc. There's another thing, there's another series, which is called Ajashrungi Arataki, Onida pinnata. There is a very foul smelling species, Onida pinnata. Now that extraction, along with, there's a people tree here, there's a goat here, which stinks. I mean, goat stinks if it is not properly clean. So that is a simulation of Ajashrungi smell. And there are these 6 human figures. So there is a symbiotic presentation of the life then. So Indus culture also projects that we must have faith in symbiotic living with the flora and fauna in the environment. Now when we go to the Jains religion, I will not go deep into it, but I would like to mention that out of 24 Tirthankaras, many Tirthankaras are associated with either plant species or the animal species. And these animal species then become spiritual and deity-like thing. Here you will find that there is a hood-spread cobra here, and there are serpents which are like closing onto the legs of the Tirthankara. That means they are living together. Now we come to Buddhism. Lord Buddha was born under a tree, he was enlightened under a tree, and he also transcended his mortal body between 2 sal trees, it is mentioned. There are several trees associated with Lord Buddha's life incidents, like Ashoka tree, people tree which is called a Bodhi tree, mango tree, jamun or blackberry tree, tada tree, and Lord Buddha departed between 2 sal trees. As we go into the Jatak stories and life of Buddha, there are not less than 61, I will call them sacred groves now, associated with Lord Buddha's life. There are some of the names can be given. There is a Jet one. Then there is a some Arama. I'm missing. So there are 61 forests which are associated with Lord Buddha's life narration. Not a small this thing. So he lived in forest, born in forest, and therefore Lord Buddha is to be revered as a spiritual ecology icon. I will come to that later on. But again, I would like to quote from His Holiness. As a boy studying Buddhism, I was taught the importance of caring attitude towards environment. This is inculcated into the Buddhist teaching. Our practice of non-violence applies not only to human beings, but to all sentient beings and any living thing that has mind. And I think we consider the animals have mind. They have a fear and other things. In fact, there is a very good Sanskrit couplet. Sahitya Sangeetna Ahara Nidra Bhayamaithunam cha. These 4 qualities are common to the human beings as well as animals. So we are in tune with the animal life also in that case. Where there is a mind, there are feelings as pain, pleasure and joy. No sentient being wants pain. This is a fact of life. And all what happiness instead. I believe that all sentient beings share those feelings at the same basic level. So we should not dissociate ourselves from the life in other forms. There are stories from Buddha's life which have been depicted not only in India. It so happened today, and I confirm, I went to the National Museum today morning and had a look at the Maurya and Mushunga gallery. What a wonderful thing! Buddha in the natural setting in so many panels. So, and not only this happens here, it happens in other countries also. The message of Buddhism, of symbiotic living with all sentient beings, was carried to the distant countries, which is depicted on the panels and statues, etc. There are many such examples from places like Kapisha in Afghanistan on the west to Myanmar and Borobudur in Java to the east. So, we have to invent the spiritual icons in the personalities whom we have the human beings or our people have deified. Everybody considers, for example, Lord Rama, Lord Buddha, their life is ideal for us. But in modern times, we may not go for spiritually, worshipping them. To give you my own example, I have never worshipped in my house for last so many years. But meditation is one such thing which helps us to sort of offer a worship to ourselves, within ourselves. Now, so what is going to happen is the ways of offering devotion, ways of achieving spirituality from the Karma Kanda to the Jnana Kanda is a shift in the modern times. And can we associate ecology with that? Because we are all facing the ecological problems as a whole at the global level. I have 2-3 monographs on Ramayana. And what struck me, that Rama, not only as an ideal human being, an ideal son, ideal vagara, he was also a nature lover. You know, he, as a young man, as a young student of Vishwamitra, when he went to jungles, they happened to come across the Sarayu river confluence with Ganga, and there was a lot of big noise. So Rama just did not accept, oh, there is a big noise. He was curious. He asked, says Vishwamitra, Valno Vidyamanasya, Kimayam Mulodhani. When these two confluences is there, why should there be a noise, so much noise, which can be noted? Then Vishwamitra answers him, that's another thing. Then when he goes to another forest, he finds the forest devastated those times. Why it was devastated, there is a reason. But Sankirnam Badri Bhishcha, Kim Noidam Darunam Banam. What is the reason that this long stretching forest with Badri, that is Jujube tree, appears to be so devastated? So he is curious to understand the different aspects in the natural surroundings. Then when he is sent to 14 years of banishment, I don't want to call it a banishment, but it is exile, whatever it is. At the entrance only, before entering the Panchavati area, Nasik, he asserts that although the predecessors, the Rajarshis in his lineage, had said that killing animal, game, not killing animal, I will call it a game, is one of the best way of enjoyment. But Rama says, I will not do it. Truly speaking, great royal sages approved hunting in forest as an incomparable enjoyment. But he says, I do not long for hunting in the forest on the banks of river Sarayu. Now, this is his attitude. There is no wanton killing he wants. Of course, for offering, when Dasharatha's the Shraddha was held, he has killed animals. But that is a part of life there. There is no wanton killing or enjoyment, killing for enjoyment. Now, this is what makes him sensitive for the other beings. Then, of course, when Sita was abducted, Rama went around, he was asking creepers and trees, saying that where is Sita, where is Sita? No, this is where he is having symbiotic living with trees and creepers. During Kishkinda Kand, he was stationed in place because there was a heavy rain. Rainy season was on. He finds rainy season soothing him. In fact, what I liked most in Ramayana was that particular sarga, that is canto, which gives beautiful description of the rainy season in South India. Kishkinda Kand. Wonderful. Now here is a deity, here is our God, who is so sensitive, so loving to the nature. Can't we consider him, in today's jargon, if we want to, a spiritual ecology icon? Rama's life can be looked from this point of view, which should inspire us. If he loved forests, if he loved Devrais, why can't we love? In Buddhism, there is a thesis by one Petra Siege. The title is Buddhism and the Earth, Environmental Thought in the Early Buddhist Philosophy. Now this also talks of the ontology. But one very important aspect that Petra has brought out is one of the ramifications of the theory of dependent origination, that is Pratitya Samutpat, is that there is no anthropocentric bias placed on humans over the natural world. What we consider our psychology or our social bearing has come that it is only the humans have to survive. No. This is not anthropocentric world. Here all the sentient beings have to live symbiotically with each other. And this is one of the aspects that Buddhism has emphasized. Because Lord Buddha, as stated in the stories, and which is also the part of the Buddhist canon, that he was born as animal as well as the plant. And in all this, he sacrificed his own elevation to moksha for the sake of his species. There are stories in Jataka story. So, this is also another ideal, that Bodhisattva in animal and plant incarnation sacrifices himself for the sake of fellow beings. Spirit of compassion, karuna, is extended to non-human beings also. The Buddhist teaching can now be perceived and interpreted as spiritual ecology. And human beings are part of the nature. Again, Dalai Lama has been enlightening. There is no doubt. And I have been enlightened. And I again quote, it is something. Buddha forbade monks. Now this is a very clear instruction. Buddha forbade monks not to cut, forbade monks to cut and cause others to cut living plants. आप भी मत तोड़ो, दूसरे को भी मत तोड़ने दो. This is something which is admirable in the age 2500 years ago. Destroy seeds or defile the fresh green grass. Should this not inspire us to love and protect our environment? To my great pleasant surprise, that booklet which is there outside, I am quoting from that. There is another aspect that His Holiness has pointed out, is that Buddha told some group of monks that you should take care of these plants and trees. And when you live, these monks were always on the move. But he says, when you live, you should tell the next group of monks to coming to your place as to how to take care of that. And it has been 2550 years since Buddha Shakyamuni. And now we can consider him as one of the ancient ecologists. What otherwise an ecologist does? He tries to maintain, he tries to pass on the information so that it is continued for generations. And therefore, Lord Buddha stands out as the greatest spiritual icons, ecology icons. Now, does that stop there? No, the tradition continued. And in the medieval times, as we know, there were many saints. The Bhakti Yoga, Bhakti Marga was sort of at the peak in the medieval ages. And in those turbulent times, some saints also showed genuine concern for the ecology and environment. They pursued spiritual path in the company of nature. One of the first example that came to my mind was Guru Jambeshwar from Rajasthan. He's called Jambaji also. Now what did he do? He enunciated 29 principles. Bishnoi, that is 29. Now there is a sect, Bishnoi. And one of my friends is Professor Bishnoi from University of Baroda. We used to talk on these aspects. Now what is happening? He founded a Bishnoi this thing which promoted protection of plants and animals. He himself was a cowherd up to 34 of his age. So he knew how to tend and make the cattle grow. So he has given instructions in that also. He blended spirituality with ecology. He deified the kejri tree which grows in Rajasthan, you know. And not only that, in 1730, one lady, Amruta Devi, sacrificed herself for saving a tree. There is a story which you can read. And not only herself, other 362 people also sacrificed themselves. And there was a hahola. People went back to the king, said, what is this? People are killing themselves for the sake of trees. And it was halted. Since then, the kejri trees have been the beauty of Rajasthan. The latest example to follow that was Sundarlalji Boguna, who started Chipko movement. What it was? It is saying, go and hug the tree. Bhai, humko kaato. That is the spirit. So it lives. Guru Jambaji, sent with ecological inspiration to offer us. Now, I come from Maharashtra. So I am more familiar with the Maharashtrian saint literature. So same thing can happen in all other languages. I plead my ignorance. But I will quote only, there are two saints. One is Saint Tukaram. What he says, Vrikshavalli Ama Soeri Vanachare. That is, the trees and creepers are brethren to us. And birds too sing to the tune of our devotional chant. There are stories around that. But basically, he tried to achieve his spiritual liberation in the company of nature. And that is something fantastic. It is not putting himself secluded into some cave or this thing cut away from the nature. No, he is very much part of the nature. He felt, maybe he has realized, that even the birds in his company were singing to the tune of his devotional songs. Spiritual. So he becomes spiritual ecology icon. Contemporary, Samartha Ramdas or the Ramdas Swami. When I read his literature, it's fantastic. He is so much mesmerized by water and forest that truly an ecology lover. He stayed close to the waterfall. There is a place called Shivthaga in the Raigad district. It is still green patch. I know, in the perennial stream flowing there. And in his compositions also, he has such a wonderful presentation of the nature. He says, Bhumandali dhave nira nana dhvani tya sundara dhababa dhababa. There is a rhythm. Dhababa dhababa thora risiviti dhvara. Streams rush forth on the earth. Melody and they make pleasing sounds. Majestic torrents or torrents surge over. Imagine what he must have been seeing. And he is amazed. He is appreciating that. Second is, He is also aware of the water. I mean, the way water can accumulate. Prithvi tai pani var. I will not read Marathi, but I will give the water collect on the surface of the earth. Water flows in underground aquifers. Prithvi tai. Water manifests on the earth as rain. Look at the enormous water. He is impressed by the enormity of the water in those times. Can we not consider him as a spiritual ecology icon? Apart from being, he was the first saint 350 years ago who advocated family planning. Udandale kure jahali, tene Lakshmi, I mean, you have given birth to so many kids and then you have lost everything. So he enunciated the family planning, and to my great admiration also, His Holiness also in that book at certain points says, we monks are also serving the purpose of the population control. So, that is that. Next we come to another contemporary great personality of Shivaji. We know Shivaji as a great warrior, great strategist and everything, but he was also a ecologist. There is a Hindi translation being given, Shivaji Maharaj ki Paryavaran Drishti. Shivaji established a welfare state. He cared for his subject, also for the ecology. There he says, before cutting the tree, take the permission of the owner, compensate him, and plant more trees. Then he issued a edict, royal edict, this is called Agya Patra, wherein he has given the rules as to how we go about ecology. And he built water tanks for conserving water, which is in need of the day. So Shivaji not only remains as a great strategist, great, so many things can be attributed to him, but he is also, he was spiritual in his approach. He was a devotee of Tulsa Bhavani, and he can be considered as a spiritual ecology icons for our generation. So, not only look for icons of the yore, Lord Buddha, Jambaji and all, today there are examples, exemplary characters who have done this great work. Contemporary personalities have done great work of rejuvenating forest and collecting variety of seeds on the way to disappear. I am quoting 3 examples which are almost known. Many of us will recollect about these examples. One, Mr. Abdul Karim from Kasaragod district in Kerala. He used to go to his wife's place where he was impressed, rather spiritually motivated by a cow or devrai. He took a small patch of land and started cultivating trees. Then he acquired more land. At present, there are 32 acres of land which is like a nascent forest. It's a rainforest. 32 years is not a very small time. But the effects are, that is what is mentioned, that around few kilometers of area, water table has increased. People have benefited, and now they see this as a very good example to be multiplied. Sacred grow like this, and his selfless work. See what he has gained. Ultimately, what the saints do, they also work for people selflessly. So Abdul Karim can be considered as an ecological, spiritual ecology. It is spiritual. It is not that you go and worship everybody, but spirituality lies. I will come to that point. Atmano mokshartha jagadhitaya. I will come to that. So he is a living icon. He is still there, there. 2 minutes. Right. I will finish. There is a seed mother in Maharashtra, a Adivasi lady, Rahibai Soma Popre. She is considered, she has kept, preserved the species which had almost disappeared. Now she is a consultant to agricultural people. And she is called the seed mother of Maharashtra. Living example. How can we rejuvenate ecology? Third thing is, there is a pilgrimage. Many of the people must be knowing, Pandharpur is a pilgrimage place where warkaris, thousands of, no, why thousands, lakhs of people in the mid-season go to pilgrimage at Pandharpur. Few years ago, one NGO came forward and started giving them seeds, saying that just on the way, you plant these seeds. And after about a 1.5 decade, after 15, 17 years, that whole patch, pilgrimage path, is now green, which was not earlier. So, they have created a spiritual ecology path for themselves, in turn benefiting the society at large. So, these are some of the examples which can be emulated. Now, what are the ecological dimensions of spirituality? It is Bhojan Hitaya, Bhojan Sukhaya, for the well-being and happiness of the people at large. Similarly, Saint Tukaram, after he was enlightened, he said, now I have nothing to do except doing good to the fellow beings. Tuka mane ata urlu upkara purta. And the latest saint was Vivekananda, Swami Vivekananda, as late as 1902 when he left his mortal body. He created the mission, Ramakrishna Mission Order, and their motto is Atmano Mokshartha, for the liberation of self and the well-being of the humanity. This is not the spiritual achievement in isolation. It is with the people, for the people, and for the self-liberation. So finally, where lies the modern path to spirituality? The modern path to spirituality lies in to work towards solving and mitigating the ecological problem as integral part of the spiritual pursuit. That will ultimately mean to work for well-being and happiness of the people at large. And therefore we have two guiding principles. Bhojan Hitaya, Bhojan Sukhaya, for the well-being of the people and happiness of the people at large. And how to do it? Liberation of self and well-being of the humanity. Atmano Mokshartha Jagat Hitaya. I express my
Thank you, Dr. Pathak. That was a wonderful talk. So I'll open the questions from the floor. Please pose questions and keep them short.
I get it. There is definitely, first of all, good evening, everyone. I get it. There is a connection between spirituality and ecology. And I take an example that Indian people worship their tools, and while they worship the tools, it means they actually increase the age of the tools, and if they increase the age of the tools, it means they are going to develop more minerals and they are going to deforest for making more tools. So it is common thing. There is definitely a relationship between ecology and spirituality in any region. Whereas in Western countries, there is no such prevalent connection between ecology and spirituality. So how come those people have more forest coverage and we have less? What happened? What went wrong? All over the country, we have definitely connections. We pray banyan trees. We pray we pray snakes. We have been praying snakes. We have been praying different animals. We have been praying cow, etc. etc. We have got many such examples which can tell us that okay, we are spiritually connected with ecology. But what happened now?
We compromised. We compromised. One single answer. We compromised. For our sake of convenience, we have done away with our spirituality. I just gave an example.
Has the
that
spirituality have been adulterated?
not deteriorated, it is twisted. It is not that the people have lost spirituality. They are not understanding. For example, I gave you an example from Goa. There was a beautiful Devrai which was about 50 years ago. And the environmentalists in Goa told me that Pathak ji, इन्होंने वो झाड़ काट दिए और बड़ा मंदिर बना दिया. Spirituality is not lost. It has been twisted. It has been compromised for the sake of few people who want to aggrandize themselves. And this is exactly what His Holiness has pointed out. So we have to revive that spirit. We should not touch.
Sir, I am next.
Yes.
I am a lawyer by profession, senior advocate. I first of all want to congratulate the organizer and your good speech, very ideal speech. But considering the modern age of consumerism, industrialization, and increase of population, now we have no choice but to spread. Now in China, and I take two examples, India, we have increasing population and increasing need of consumers and even producing more. And all these are contradictory to protection of environment, because we need more land for the housing, we need more land for crop growing at the same time. And we also need trees because they are essential for our life. How to have the legal implementation of the ideals which you are having, unless we realize that they are necessary for our survival. Now, if you do not have the legal implementation, all these ideals are there, as my friend has pointed out, you have pointed out, and we don't know the limitations. Now, today only I found there is an act of 1911 passed by the British not to encroach Aravalli mountains, which goes from Haryana to south up to Nasik. There is an act. Now that act has been laid aside, lot of encroachment. Even now Haryana Assembly is passing a resolution that we should not protect the Aravallis, we should protect the people. We have to habitat them. So there is a contradiction, because they need more housing for the increasing population. And you want human rights also, because human rights are nowadays more important than any rights of the animals. Although human beings cannot exist without trees, but still the trees are being destroyed everywhere, because to inhabit the human beings. So I want to know where is the legal implementations of all the ideals, unless the whole society compromises on our greed of consuming. Suppose we stop consuming, there will be no environment pollution. We are consuming more and more and more, and we are throwing waste, and it is difficult to manage that waste. Everybody is increasingly having more and more to eat, more and more to drink, more and more to wear. Previously the life was very simple. So kindly enlighten us how to have the balance, and there should be legally implementable ideas. Thank you.
Yes. Three things. First thing is, sir, you are in a place called Delhi, where the influential and decision makers live. Advocate Batra will be a good leader for all of us to take lead, formulate something which can be then taken on the all India level. So some legal thing has to be come out, which will take. For example, I quoted an example of the Urban Land Ceiling Act in Maharashtra, how it was mutilated. It was mutilated because of the political pressure. Now, can we have a system wherein people stand? Now, I'm not talking of the political things, but as a human being. That is one thing. How can we strengthen this? I see a lot of young people here. I think they will have to lead us. But we will not be there possibly, or born as some animals for having committed blunders. Maybe that is one thing. Second thing is, Buddhism has an edge over other religions. I mean, there is nothing like edge over, but it is not anthropocentric. It is considering all these ancient beings on par. Now that is the beauty. So can we think of amalgamating the anthropocentric bias with sentient beings? Because as Batraji said, human beings are given priority. But can they exist without symbiotic life with other animals and plant, flora and fauna of the land? So we will have to do a lot of awakening. I had a good interaction, opportunity to work as for the plastic free Goa mission which is mentioned. And it is not thing of pride, but it took better root in Goa. That striving, we went to schools. I conducted nearly 500 awakening programs and how to deal with plastic, what are the, and one beautiful instance, a grandmother came and told me, Pathak ji, आपने ये क्या किया है? कल मैंने I had thrown a bottle on the street when we were going by car, and my granddaughter started weeping. What are you doing? We were told not to do these things. So, grandma, don't throw it. And I felt ashamed. I mean, can we do that? This is a small example, but we can start from ourselves. Can we do it from ourselves? So, these are some of the instances where, as they say, Gandhiji used to say, what change you want to see in the in the world or in the humanity, start from yourself. I think somewhere all these people have spoken already, we must implement. Somebody else.
Sorry,
Yes.
if I may just take the privilege of the chair, I just wanted to come in here because Sri Bhatraji made a very good point about, capitalism and development. So if you look at China's, and Tibet and the whole environmental question, the Sanpo, all the rivers, all the dams, all the pollutants, and now, of course, now that they've reached a certain level, they are taking certain actions to try and mitigate, some cities or air pollution in the bigger cities and everything. And on India, I have to say that, the founding fathers, Nehru, Panchil, certain areas, forests, if you look at our environmental consciousness now, the way we are building 4-lane highways to all the mountains, the way business people are being sold forest land, protected forests, and frankly, even the attitude of the common people on pilgrimage. You go to Bhutan, you go to anywhere. Please, I beg to,
No, we are not this. We are talking of the social society and not the
social society.
Yes.
And our notion of cleanliness and pollution, that our indoor space and our space must be maintained, but then we have no issue to throw it on the, just around. So I think we are dealing with quite deep-rooted issues now, and particularly as Sri Bhatraji is saying, this question of development and consumerism. And if you look at plastics regulation in this country, it's only now, there's so much pushback from plastic producers, and starting with Reliance, right? Look at the position of these people in this, in terms of, if we are talking about regulation, and the gentleman before spoke about Europe and, Western societies and how they are able to maintain. And I think New Zealand and all was the first to declare the river as a living being as well, right? Recently,
Yes.
and gave legal rights. So you were talking about the Ganges and
Yes.
all, but this idea of protecting your environmental capital, and of course water and everything, is something that we are going to see wars about in this country itself. We already are. So I think, we need to also think about this question of development per se, because I think to step back from that will be incredibly hard. And when you see China's interventions in Tibet region or any others, even, it's again in the pursuit of unbridled sort of, capitalist growth.
Somebody else? Huh.
Luckily, my name is Siddharth, and I come from membrane technology field. So you might be knowing our membrane.
Yeah.
So as humans, what we do, what we say, and what we do, they are completely different. I have been, the first trip to any resort happened to me maybe 7 years ago when I visited Rishikesh. The name of the resort is VN. So when I went there, I was very aghast, frankly speaking, because what I saw, that we are cutting trees around and we are going for the trees and habitat that we want. So the biggest irony lies there. We are cutting trees around us and we are going for the trees. We are paying 5,000, 7,000 or 10,000 rupees for a night. So this is what we are doing actually. Secondly, sir, I am a bachelor and I got a pet 5 years ago. So the point that you mentioned, that planting trees like banyan will save us because we will be having a spiritual quotient with it. So I got a pet. I have a golden retriever. So when I adopted him or when I had him 5 years ago, it brought so many changes in me, sir. I cannot explain. I was a daily eater of non-veg. I stopped eating non-veg. Then I stopped eating plastic pipes. Suppose I am going for coffee. So I used to ask for cappuccino rather than frappuccino with a pipe. I stopped buying because as I'm an animal lover, so I can't go have a chicken breast, feed it to my dog, killing one chicken and feeding it to my baby. So I stopped eating as well as killing. Then I started feeding stray dogs. So one thing changed so many things in me. I cannot imagine. I cannot express. That one single dog changed my life. So that is what we have to adopt. As long as we are talking about plastic-free environment and having a mineral bottle on our tables, it is completely different. Because we are talking about the plastic-free environment and we are promoting plastic with mineral water bottles on the table. These are two ironical concepts. Thanks.
I would like to compliment him, one thing. And secondly, I would like to tell my own experience. When I was in I would like to mention here. Let us start from ourselves. In Goa, about 5 years ago, we had a movement to replace the plastic bags. And virtually, I tell you, in a single year, our group sold something like 1,20,000 paper bags. I developed a method such that the newspaper can give us 10 types of designs, right? Starting from a small person who is vending out the toiletries and small things for the ladies, like अपना तिलक का जो है वो किसमें देना है, small one, to 3 kilo load bearing bag. And the economics was like this: 6 to 8 rupees for 1 kilo of paper, discarded newspaper. Another 1 rupee or 1.5 rupee, depending upon where you are, for preparing a paste out of starch. उसमें थोड़ा सा we have to add little bit of copper sulfate, which is a standard method, and you can make the paper bags worth 27 rupees. It's the best business to do. In fact, after I get free from all this, I have decided that I want to see the Oscar-winning movies, and while seeing these movies, there are hundreds of them. While seeing this movie, I'll keep on doing paper bags and selling it. थोड़ा पैसा भी मिलेगा, काम भी होगा, environment से होगा. We can make that. Another thing, we sold almost 12,000 bags. You know, this 2x2 cloth. 2x2 cloth is very easy. You know, it is not thick. It can take a load up to 5 kilos. And we have two sizes, 9 inch and 11 inch. Because it fits into that length, unit length. You can being a chemical engineer and operational man, we optimized size. 9 inches and 11 inches. And these bags can be folded. The young generation finds, oh, they're taking bag in hand, unfashionable. बुढ़े बन जाते हैं, ऐसा लगता है. But this 9 inches bag, you can fold it like your handkerchief, and whenever you go to this thing, we don't bring, this is what another conclusion, that we hardly bring 3 kilos at a time, on an average. And 5 kilos maximum when we are bringing grain. Beyond that, otherwise we order, we take something. So 3 to 5 kilos ke liye, if we make these type of bags, it is easy to carry, put it in your bag, bring it, and the bag can last for 1 to 1.5 years. That time, the cost was something like 12 rupees and 17 rupees. But in 12 rupees, you are saving for so much time, 1.5 years. How many plastic bags you could have used? And from 10 people, 10 bags. So, these type of measures, wherein you can reduce, if not eliminate, the environmental disaster. And of course, as I say, by Ramayana, there is a squirrel. Squirrel was a big. Can we not work as an ant? And millions of ants can bring down change. So let us be ants of the ecological preservation.
Respected sir and our friends, sir, you mentioned a lot about those contents, some case studies, some stories, some practices, that how we can extend the message of this spiritual economic icons, and how can we make others to do that. So now it's our time to think how we are going to disseminate the message in our family, into the society, or through some advocacy with our associated local some organizations or through some government organizations. So what are your suggestions to endorse all those peoples of our surrounding, whoever is practicing all such values, and how can we like institutionalize this process to identify, to endorse, and to appreciate them as a spiritual ecological icons? Could we have any as such like formal structure? So please enlighten us about that.
Well, this is not to boast.
Sir, if you would like to
please.
add one instance. Recently, Sadhguru of Isha, he has suggested to the government of India, if you want to clean Ganges and Jamuna or any river, so plant on both sides of the river trees. It will not only prevent pollution, but increase the level of water. It will have more rains, and it will be the ideal thing to do. And he says, I can guarantee within 15 years, you will be finding it more cleaner than before. Why it got polluted was all the industries came on the river Ganges. So all the pollutant went into. If they say you eliminate the industries and put the plants instead, because previously on both sides of the Ganges it was all plants. Now there are roads and there are cities and there are factories. So this is how can you get away with the roads and the cities from the banks of the river. And they say on both the banks it is a long process, but plant the trees only. No cities, no factories. This is only I am sharing his idea. It came into the newspaper and it was published by the Prime Minister that he likes this idea. Now how to implement, again the legal problem comes in. A stay order from the Supreme Court. Why you want to close our factory? Why you want to remove the houses? Why do you want to remove the roads? Problems and problems.
No, that is another thing. We have to eliminate this influence of being anthropocentric, not human being only. This will have to be given a legal status.
That's it.
That is one thing. Secondly, as you said, what we have to do is Attadipo Bhava. Attadipo Bhava means be your own light, which was the teaching of Buddha. I'll give one more small instance. How can we save energy, or rather thermal energy? When I was doing work on the solar disinfection of water, that is also another area where I worked, I realized that milk, हाँ यहाँ पे जो बच्चियाँ हैं उनको मैं बताना चाहता हूँ, the young girls, look, what is the pasteurization temperature of milk? It is only 72 degrees. Whereas we are in habit of boiling water, boiling milk, as long as it is not going spilling out. Now that temperature is 94 degrees to 96 degrees, depending upon pani in water, water in the milk. So that varies. That is the thing, correlation. Now heating from 72 degrees to 95 or 94 degrees is a waste of energy. So what I did some experiments, and thanks to my wife, Attadipo, she also became part of it. we measured that up to 1 liter, which is normal this thing. If there is a formation of cream layer on the top, you can measure yourself that the temperature from the bottom is more than 72 degrees centigrade. You know, my wife saves 6 minutes of gas burning every day, and my gas cylinder lasts 3 to 5 days more. Please experiment, verify, and implement. Is this not a small measure? Hamara ant ke, we are working like ants. But if there are millions of ants, things can change. I mean, every area of life can be investigated. For example, I'll tell you, water distance. How much time, man? 2 minutes?
We finish at 7:30. Yeah.
2 minutes. I was working for an institution where the people developed acute dysentery. What could be the reason? They were not getting proper water. So I said, if the solar UV rays can be tapped for that, then you not have, I mean, वो तो झोपड़ी में रहते, they stay in the shanties, huts. Where will they put the aquaguard? Simply import. So can we develop a gadget which is simple enough to operate? It is a simple gadget. Take acrylic sheets, make a box of 9 inch by 18 inch by 15 inch. 10 liters of water accommodates in the glass bottles, not the plastic bottles. That is another thing. We have verified biological experiments using E. coli that it disinfects. That paper is available. Anybody want? I can send this thing. And now here is something which is eco-friendly, which doesn't consume power on everyday basis. And if there is arrow, hell of a lot of water just goes, unless you are conscious to collect that high salt content water, which very few people do. So, to the audience here, I will say every area of life can be looked into for ecological savings and conservation and preservation. So, Attadipo ho, be a light yourself. And my wife says 4 to 5 days of gas per month.
Yeah, I just want to add on that note very much what Professor Pathak ji has said. His Holiness's belief, he is always saying that a single individual can make change. And also, this in the day, these last few days, there's been a lot in the news that the climate deniers, even in Europe and Western countries, actually the people who are standing up are school children. So I think again His Holiness's vision for the younger generation, and you also mentioned Ji in Goa, school children, even in Delhi we've seen for Diwali and other kinds of initiatives when school children and younger generation is involved. And so there's a lot of hope there, and I think we should also try to, inculcate these values. So thank you very much, and thank you to the audience for being with us this evening. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And now I would like to request our Secretary Citizen Children to felicitate our speaker and the chairperson with Kata and the Sabina.
Great pleasure to be in the company of such an enlightened audience. I enjoyed.
Thank you all once again for your valuable time and your presence, which are even possible. And last but not least, Tibet House organizes lectures, seminars, and national and international conferences. So if you are interested in these kind of programs, please visit our website www.tibethouse.in, and good night and see you again. Thank you.
Wonderful tea, very nice.